We've got a full house in here. Everybody's going to be performing Saturday at Grove Fest. Where's that at, Travis?
That is in the Grove.
Thank
if
you.
I understand it correctly.
Our boy Scrubs here. Coco's
morning.
producer. We've got J.E. producer. I just wanted to say thank you for coming in to pay homage to all of the platinum records I've been a part of. So thank you very much, J.E. That's very, very important. No, you guys know J.E. got how many albums now have you been a part of?
Too many to count. Definitely over 10 for sure.
Over 10. It's crazy. You have a new single coming out that you work with Coco on,
yeah,
too.
Exactly.
I feel really weird. These mics, you have to treat them
Okay,
like a
my
lady.
bad, my bad.
You got to
Yeah,
treat them
my
like a
bad.
lady.
There we
Yeah,
go,
get up
perfect.
in there. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
He's like,
There we go.
go ahead and never tell me ever what to do in a studio ever again.
Right. Totally blanked out, but yeah, it's all
No,
good. Yeah.
so I'll never forget. Travis and I are 35. Like for my entire life, I just hear J.E. in my head. Like, do you wake up hearing that every morning?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, that and just all the country grammar ride with me. It's just like repeat every
Well, as part of your career, and again, you're still producing, putting out new music, and then again, Grove Fest Saturday, guys, go check that out.
Yeah.
Is it ever strange to actually sit back and realize like you kind of helped put St. Louis on the map with that album? Country Grammar album.
It's just I'm very thankful. It's just a regular day, though. You know,
Right,
it's just
right.
I've been doing this literally since I was 18. I'm 41 now,
Yeah.
so it's been a wild ride, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It meant a lot to you. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I'm very appreciated, and you know, like what we did, and at that point of time, it was just unbelievable.
I imagine you've learned like a lifetime of things from when you first started to where you are
Yeah.
now. What would you tell your younger self as you are coming up in this industry? Because so much has changed from when you first jumped in to where we are presently.
I mean, I wouldn't say I would do anything different. Like what we did was pretty dead on. It was just a matter of just constantly working. You know, everybody doing their job. Like when it came to the St. Lunatics, like nobody was trying, to be the manager. We had managers that would stay manager.
Right.
I would stay in my position being a producer. Like I wasn't trying to rap and stuff like that. So we all were just like a football team almost. And we played our positions well, and we all worked together. And that was the main reason why we made it.
How do you garner that respect from an artist? How do you build that relationship? What's the first thing you try to do when you have an artist in your studio?
I mean, that's something that you just can't it's a relationship. It's like you kind of learn from just being in the studio the first few times, and you can instantly tell like, oh, this guy's got the stardom in him. He's an amazing artist. You'll know right away from the jump, and then you kind of just like, you kind of just go with the flow a little bit and just kind of work together.
What do you do then when you notice early on that the relationship isn't turning out the way that you
I mean,
had
I've had a
hoped?
bunch of situations where it's like this, I don't know. It's just I try to work with them. Like there's a lot of big artists that are kind of like that as well. And it's just like if you don't vibe with each other, it's just not gonna happen.
It's not anything personal that people generally understand.
Yeah,
like, hey, it's just not.
Exactly.
Okay.
We've been doing a show for 4 years, and we can't get rid of each other.
Yeah.
So strange.
Exactly,
Yeah. It's one of those things you have to deal with.
It's just a vibe thing. You know what I mean? Like instantly, once you get in there, if you're catching a vibe, it's a magic. You know what I mean? You just go with it.
Fantastic. As far as the other two gentlemen in the room, you guys performing Saturday. Coco, obviously you worked on the new single and album, and how did you, I guess, get to know J.E.?
Oh man, I picked this dude up at Jack in the Box. True story. He needed a ride, and a mutual friend was like, "Man, I know this kid we work with. Man, he says he's DJing and all this, and likes Wu-Tang and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Yeah, right." We thought we was the only kids in St. Louis that was hip on that, and then yeah, man, we took him to his crib. All he had was a mattress and a bunch of posters on his wall and a turntable set. That was it. And he just started getting down. And, I mean, he really was about his business. So eventually we just started linking up. We started rapping in his mom's basement, recording on a little 4-track and at parties. And we just clicked, man. It's just one of the things that we instantly.
Do you recall the moment when you knew, like, all right, this is what we were meant to work together. We were meant to make some music together. When did you know?
I mean, just his craft on DJing, I thought was, he was already there. But once he started getting into producing, I never thought I could produce in the get-go because I never was musically trained. But then once, stuff started coming around, he started learning how to do stuff. I would kind of put my insight on it. I thought I could rap at the time. That's what I thought I was going to do. I still rap, but at the time.
Picking each other up, I like that.
And so he basically was the first one to make it happen, and then we all followed basically. So you don't have to be musically trained. You just got to know how to work the equipment and have a good ear, and that's really all it was. We just all loved music.
And tell us about the new single.
New single? Oh man, In My Bag. It once he said what this whole project was about, I knew he had it in the bag. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because he's been doing this for a while with
so
video
on
games.
brand. That's so good.
You know what I'm saying? He's been doing them video game things since his mom's basement. So once he said that, I was like, man, this is a home run. So we just kind of threw back ideas, and I got the chance to do this one with him, and so we did a couple others together, and I think we were just talking about more ideas on the way here too. So.
Well, you recorded this at Gaslight as well, right? Our buddy JB bring your own.
I did.
You haven't been.
Yeah,
okay.
We just shot ideas back and forth.
Been working on that.
Originally, I had the idea. There was an old Nintendo game called Wizards and Warriors for all you '90s NES players. So I had.
We all just got like. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a real nerdy game, but any which way, like I had the theme, and I was like, man, this would be an amazing beat, and I literally threw it over to Coco, and I was like, hey man, start this up, and we'll take it from there after that, and sure enough, like he sent back straight fire, and we gave it over to Scrub, and Scrub started placing it with all the artists and whatnot, and that was, to be honest, that was the first song that was done, and it was like it set the bar so high. I was like, man, this is amazing. Like this is going to be an amazing project. It just kicked off like the whole inspiration for the project.
So we have some listeners asking if Grove Fest is actually family friendly. It is, for sure. Performances, all that stuff. Hopefully the weather steps up. This 95-degree crap can
2 p.m. I believe kicks off till 11.
Till 11. That'll be a good time. Scrub. So what's it like for you? I don't even mean to say up and coming. You've accomplished plenty locally and touring and everything like that. But what's it like for you to kind of connect? You grew up in the area.
Oh yeah.
To connect with guys like this that have these credits behind them, like international credits, all the stuff that have been part of such big moments in a craft that you live.
Yeah, absolutely. These cats are legendary in St. Louis, no question. And we all grew up listening to their records. And it's funny now, like, we'll be doing studio sessions or rehearsal or something. We'll go grab a drink, and I can't go anywhere without hearing the damn songs now. Like when you're hanging out with them, so, it's pretty crazy, yeah. And I went to a Red Bull presentation here a couple years ago. They had Peanut Butter Wolf and Jay do a talk with the artists, and I was sitting there in the audience as a fan. And soaking up game. So to be making records just a couple years later was a super dope opportunity, and I jumped on it, of course. And I don't know, I'd say everything has gone extra smooth so far. Like we just cranked out a whole album in essentially a little over a month, and that's a big credit to all the artists that are involved.
Right.
But so that was really my role, was to just kind of link the right people with him and the right records, and I don't know, it was a piece of cake, really.
He's like literally been executive producing the whole thing.
Wow.
And he actually just like is amazing me just of all the accomplishments he's doing, because like making a record is no walk in the park, and then not only that, but doing a show with a band, and you have like 9 artists that have like he's killing it.
Can you describe like that undertaking for us laymen's, like who don't know what it truly takes to put a project like this together and work with different type of personalities? What are some of the things that you have to undertake once you take on a project of this size?
Well, first it all starts off with the beat, obviously, and it comes from honestly nothing. So you have like, it's kind of on us to just kind of like build the blueprint of that song or the album. So for this album, it was like all 8-bit kind of sound, like Nintendo video game type stuff. So once we started, getting some ideas together, then we make the track, and then obviously we send it over to Scrub, and we start figuring out the artist, and then start recording the songs and putting the vocals over the beats. And then once we start, have all that, we start like kind of moving things around, making it to where it automatically fits.
Right.
Not to be, you know, getting too deep into
No,
it.
go deep, baby.
And then we end up going to Carl Napa to mix it, and he makes it like literally sound like you know, a big record. Like,
Okay.
so it pretty much is. I always go to Carl because it's like I like that second ear.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he's a musician himself, and it's, you know, I respect his opinion on stuff. And then once that's done, then we start figuring out, like for this particular project, we're doing a show, so it's just a matter of, you know, how we're going to perform this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like with the band and everything else. So and all these processes are literally like weeks. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like when it's all said and done, it might be a couple months, it might be even, you know, a year or something, depending on your situation.
As far as artists go, so you have different levels. You've obviously been a part of multi-platinum records, things like that. What is the difference between somebody going like this, like Scrub is, and then somebody who's up at the top already? Like, is it just literally like finding the right door? Just,
I mean,
the talent. There's a lot of talented people in the world, and not that many people that
I can't
reach
sit
the
here and
level
say
of
that
success.
there's a blueprint for success in the music, especially nowadays, because you have the internet, and like it's just like I always say, the internet is like a Rubik's cube. You know, once you figure out your Rubik's cube, you're good.
Right.
Because your crowd's going to be totally different from like a Nelly crowd or a Jay-Z crowd.
Right.
So it's just a matter of, and that's the thing with the upcoming artists. Like they're obviously more hungry, and it's just amazing to me to see artists come from, you know, a beginning artist to blowing up to being a big artist. It's honestly like, you know, it's like a unpolished diamond almost. You know what I mean? So you can literally take it any which way whenever it comes to developing an album.
Describe that feeling when you sweated, like you just said, for months, almost to a year on a track, and then you finally get into an audience, and the audience is like feeling it. Like, describe that feeling, because I would imagine after all that hard work and you finally get that vibe, you get that response. Like, what is that like?
I mean, that's the magic, you know. That's the goosebump moment. That's the I got
That's the
something.
drug, right?
Yeah, that's really what you're chasing. That's the dragon, you know. You're chasing that dragon.
You recall your that first time?
Let me fill you in on Coco. Coco did Shake Your Tail Feather, you know, over and over again with Tim McGraw, a bunch of other joints. Like,
yeah, I mean, I remember my first time for sure.
Is there a guy from Florissant named Jimmy that worked with you on that?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
like
okay.
one of my best friends.
That's one of your okay, great. I'm Florissant proud.
Okay,
with
yeah,
I have
there you
friends
go.
from up that way. So okay.
Jimmy Hargrove.
Back to the time. Sorry. Yeah.
So no, you're good. The first time, you know, I was still working, and I remember him calling me saying, "Dude, you gotta roll. You gotta leave work," and I didn't have no, you know, sick time or anything. So I'm like, "Dude, I can't just roll out." And he's like, "No, you're gonna want to roll out. You got the first single, you know, with Puff, and we gotta go to New York tomorrow." So I'm like, "Oh."
Oh,
So
wow.
Oh, that kind of rollout.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
wow.
kind of rollout. Now you're
Really rolling out.
So I basically worked something out with my supervisor, basically saying someone died, and you know.
You hear that, kids? Hear that? All levels. All levels.
You know, and I didn't know where I was going, honestly. You know, I just, you know, here's an opportunity. I'm going to work with somebody I even grew up listening to.
Right.
And now I'm freaking out. My first song. And then we all.
his first
I didn't even know how to
single.
track out a damn beat. We tracked it out of his house in Pro Tools. And I was that new.
Wow.
So I was just like, man,
I
what?
think the beat was just honestly like a 4-bar loop.
Yeah, it's a
There
4-bar
was
loop.
really no
Right.
breakdowns or anything, and yeah. It was,
So
I-
we got up there, and I just remember sitting in the studio, man, I caught Puff staring at me a couple times. It was just awkward. I'm sitting there soaking.
He was reaching for a freeway. Looking at you.
The scene of it's on tape because he had a videographer. It was literally like some Chappelle stuff.
Wow.
Like, we were sitting there. This dude's got this chick with muffins walking around, champagne. He's got his 2 ways, his phones. Dude's writing his verse. We're all sitting there. Everybody's just having a good time, man. And it was just a surreal moment for me. Because I'm sitting there soaking it up about, this is where they did Biggie's album. This is Puff. You know, it was just a crazy moment, man. And then once I got home and it started making of the video and then it was on the radio, that's when I was like, yo. And then people were like, well, what are you still doing here? You didn't do that. You didn't do that. And then I got my publishing deal, and I grabbed my stuff and basically left out, like, baked and like, you're cool, you're cool. That's basically how that and, ever since then, man, it just kind of rolled out for me, man.
That's dope.
And I was just, you know.
Scrub, you gonna do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't wait, man. I dream about it every night.
I look forward to
We'll
that.
set
And
a
you
lot
can
of
even tell me to
fire.
fuck off. It's
Yeah.
fine. I
Hell
get
yeah.
it. I understand.
Going straight to a family reunion first.
I told you.
I told you.
Oh, you'll get new family members.
Assholes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you'll have cousins you didn't even know.
Oh, yeah.
They fired you.
So wait, okay. So of the three of you, how many will be implicated in Tekashi 6ix9ine's next testimony? Are you
We're all
guys?
eagerly waiting.
No comment.
No comment.
He already said something about me, so I'm after him. Said something.
Man, I can. Have we ever seen anything like this guy before?
No, but I tell you what, they're gonna cash out on this kid when he gets out.
Mhm.
There's gonna be like a Scorsese movie about this. Stuff.
That's what we were
It's a
saying.
crazy story, man,
It's a
and I
crazy
think
story.
it's interesting. I mean,
How do you feel? So we kind of debated back and forth about this. Like on one side, it's like, hey, dummy, this is very obvious that you don't do it like this. But then the other side of it's like, and I'd like to say that my name is Travis Terrell. As I say
is
this,
not his
you can
name.
find me in St. Louis,
That is
Missouri,
not- that is not-
typically
that is
around the
not-
Blackjack
that is not-
area,
that is not- do not put
and
me
at
on
Black
the
to the
street.
Future on Twitter if you have any
No, don't
issues,
do that to me.
Mr. Folks. No, but then there's also like, well, the organization that kind of put him up, like you were dealing with this guy who's not a real like dude, and he's gonna fly off the handle at some point, and you just probably didn't expect it to go like this necessarily.
I guess
like
the better
who's
question
responsible?
is, how many posers are there really in the industry? And when you encounter
Tons.
those kind of people, like obviously everybody has to move a certain way. How do you obviously do your best to avoid those kind of
And
people?
I said
because
it-
they can put your career in jeopardy.
I mean,
I just saw him
none in
square up
my
at the
circle.
airport.
None of your
I
circle,
knew it
right?
was.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about it. Yeah, I have no idea. I'm going on the record.
I am not
circle is square.
familiar. You don't know any phonies like
No,
that?
I do. You know, there's a couple in St. Louis I think that are Fed Ops.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I'm gonna need you to talk directly.
I'm sure that there's plants. They said he was
Sure.
a plant from the get-go.
Yeah.
They put him in there in that situation, but who knows, man? I think the kid finally realized who was in his corner and who wasn't. You know what I'm saying? And if my friends set me up to get robbed and all this stuff, I don't know.
But I guess a better question of that: how important is it for you to build a circle of people that you can rely on and trust, especially again in this industry where I'm sure you learned very early, like it's a lot of people who play the politics, and it's important to have people in your corner that you can rely on and trust.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people that play just to be cool, just to be a part of being cool.
Wow.
Like damn, Jay's this and that and this and that, and he's on the top of the billboard. Let me hang out with him and just be cool.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
they're really not there for you,
Right.
You'll see it.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a wild ride, but yeah. Definitely. I mean, honestly, Coco, like you said, he used to pick me up at Jack in the Box from
Right.
work. You know, like the circle's been tight from day one. I mean, there's been like people on the outside, but I'm always welcoming, but like I can always tell like what you're here for if like it's on a bad,
You can kind of smell what people
Yeah,
are
exactly.
looking like if
I
they
mean,
ask certain
literally,
questions.
It's been going like Country Grammar's like going on 20 years, so like 20 years of just kind of like dodging the wrong people and keeping the right ones with you is like kind of I'm a master at it now.
Right.
It's not that good because you're here right now. It's kind of a weird thing that you've done. No, again, guys, go see all these dudes at Grove Fest this weekend. Anything we need to look out for specifically? I know we have a track too. We'll end on that one in just a bit, but I guess the three of you being here, and our big shout out to JB from Gaslight for bringing you in, but like the three of you here representing St. Louis, how do you feel about the scene in St. Louis right now? I mean, you go back to like Stacey Static produces her show here. Like we do every 5 days a week. We hear all these crazy stories from about the time you blew up. I mean, going from like wild parties at the monastery to like what is the hip hop?
Monastery.
The hip right? Yeah, you didn't think you were gonna get a monastery thing today.
Taking
but,
it back.
but no, how do you feel about the scene as a whole right now? Because even just mentioning Carl Napa and the stuff that you guys everything in this room right now, there's a lot of impressive things happening. How do you feel about St. Louis as a scene in hip hop or just music in general right now?
I think St. Louis has always had extreme talent. You
Yeah.
know, it's just not. I wish that we had more of a music scene that would we have bigger labels out here and whatnot
Right.
that would kind of look at us. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the thing. And it's tough to get out of this bubble. You know what I mean? But it's starting to ease up a little bit from what I see just because of the internet. You know what I mean?
Great point.
And it's not impossible. Nelly, you know what I mean, and
Right.
like Chingy and everybody else. So it's not impossible. It's just a lot more work. You know what I mean? Because you got to actually fight to be seen outside of St. Louis.
Right.
And that's pretty much how you make it here. Back in the day, now
Right.
it's starting to ease up a little bit.
You can get those eyes on you from other cities.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, man, I want to say personally, of course, being a St. Louis, I appreciate
Yeah.
everything y'all have done, especially
Thank
for
you.
the music scene and for artists around here, man. You guys were literally the soundtrack of high school or college for us, man. So we really appreciate
So many
it.
girls turned him down while Ride With Me was on. It was like really
But, man,
important.
y'all put in the real work, and we certainly appreciate
Really
that.
appreciate it.
You know?
Yeah, it's fantastic to see you all still pushing forward. Grove Fest this Saturday. Go see Scrub. Go see Coco JE. Follow them online. We'll tag everything and
Yeah,
you
make
guys
sure
follow.
to In My Bag out now. Bodine, Kashan.
All over the internet.
That's so great that you can put it out there for everybody to see. Also, what we like to do too. This is a podcast in 2019, but I like radio from like 1997. Who's got shout outs?
Well, we'll start with the obvious. I'm gonna give Jay a shout out for
Yes.
giving all these St. Louis
Yes.
artists a chance to be on a real record with a big producer. That's super dope. He could be off doing other stuff.
Absolutely.
Aside from that, I'm gonna give a shout out to my mom.
Oh
Nice.
man, that's
She's
so
dead.
great. That's okay. There we go. Travis. There he is.
No, I want
Sorry, Mom.
to give a shout out to the pioneers out here to join us today, man. Again, like
Huge.
you guys definitely put the music scene of St. Louis on the map, and so shout out to you guys and the effort and continuing to do it because some people can just come and go, but you guys continue to grind. So definitely shout out to you guys.
I'm gonna need 2 shout outs from you guys. This is the important part. Who you guys shouting out?
I shout out my daughter.
Yes, that's perfect.
See, we're a sensitive crew. This
I know, man. See, you didn't think you were gonna scratch through the surface on this. This
My
is
daughter,
good.
and I'd like to thank you guys for bringing
man.
us on the show.
Thank you.
Schwad Engel,
Yes.
Ted Drew, Stan Musial,
Just do all this.
Gus's Fashion, Stacy Static,
Yeah.
Tony J,
Rodney D. Young.
Thank you.
No, man. Yeah, I appreciate
Becky
you
and
guys
Wanda.
having us, man. Grove Fest would be cool, come
Yeah.
out and support that. The album will be dropping soon. Shout out to Gaslight, Zach, everybody, that's involved.
Absolutely.
So
It's going to be a big time. I've got shout outs for Happiest Hour comedy series this Thursday at Sophie's. That's right. The second floor right here. We've got free comedy, 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock special starts. Big thanks to Jack Daniels and Schlafly for making that possible. Gardner, you got a shout out? You look like you're ready to shout somebody out back there.
Yeah, I do have a shout out actually. I want to shout out, even though I've been sober now 6 years.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
Yes,
Got to
it is.
shout out White Castle for starting to sell beer at their
Oh,
restaurant.
wow.
It's a
Wow.
one-stop
Good for White
shop.
Castle. What a
One-stop
day.
shop now.
Yeah.
See,
They finally
man,
put
they
2 and 2
gonna
together.
roll it out in some select
Where
cities,
was
man.
this?
This gonna happen. They just announced it yesterday. Some select
I didn't
cities
know
gonna
that.
roll it out. So yeah, just exactly
real.
what. Yeah.
Very
Beer at White
real.
Castle.
Yeah.
It's very real. I'm going to make a call because I'd like you all to make a soundtrack for the
R.I.P.
chaos. that's
R.I.P.
about
to the sewer system.
It's a wrap.
that's
It's a
all
wrap.
right.
It's gonna be.
That's trouble.
Get your wet wipes.
Yes.
It's be rough. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. Support them
Appreciate
at
it,
Grove
man.
Fest
Please
this
do.
Saturday. Shout out to everybody in the room. We're back live tomorrow at 8 a.m. We've got Ian Edwards this week. Several other great people coming in. So thanks, everybody.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
peace.
Thank you.